Hello. I hope everyone had a nice Christmas or whatever holiday you may celebrate. I saw something last night on Tumblr that I wanted to talk about, and then today, Dworkin's Ghost posted a video on YouTube called Men Are Trash. You should check it out because it also inspired me to make this. So yeah, I saw this thing that was from the relationship subreddit asking for advice. It's a woman who posted that her husband left the internet browser open on their computer when he went to work, and she saw his Reddit account was left open, and she saw like his comments and post history and his inbox and stuff, obviously because it was logged in and open, and discovered that he's like a really horrific troll. Like really, the quote she wrote was, I was disgusted at what I found. My husband is a troll, a really fucking nasty troll. He leaves horribly mean comments to all kinds of people. They're filled with racist slurs, awful insults. He tears into fat people, ugly people, etc. He loves to troll around places like the Progress Pics subreddit to discourage people. He sent PMs to people who call them names, calls women sluts and whores and cunts, etc. So she goes on to say that she was completely horrified because her husband is a nice and gentle man. So, quote, is a nice, gentle man who is supportive and kind, end quote. And this really prompted me because so many women, when we're in, whether it be a feminist space or a non-feminist space, and talking about male violence and male aggression and male domination and abuse and whatever, we'll talk about how not all men, and that their husbands are so wonderful and supportive and loving and kind, and they love their husbands so much, and their husbands are such great fathers, or boyfriends, whatever. But I literally cannot count the times that I have been in particularly feminist Facebook groups where you talk about how separatism is key to radical feminism, and to the liberation of women from men, and you get so many. I've mentioned this in a video before. I saw one post where there was quite literally hundreds of comments of women talking about how wonderful their husbands are, and they could never leave their husband, and their husband is so nice and caring and loving and supportive and sweet and gentle, and ad nauseum about just how great the men in their lives are. And this post from Reddit, like, very clearly illustrates that you have no idea. Women have no idea who their husbands really are. They have no clue. And the thing is it doesn't really matter how he treats you. I mean, obviously, you don't want a man to be abusive to you and awful to others, but like, it doesn't matter if you think he's nice and kind and sweet. You have no idea who he really is and how he really acts when you're not looking. Which is another reason why I think separatism is crucial. It's men show their asses constantly, in one way or another, eventually. Like, it just goes to show that you really have no idea. You can't trust men. You can't know for sure who a man is. And so, yeah, it frustrates me so much when I see so many women talking about how great their husbands are and their boyfriends and whatever, their fathers, their brothers, and how, yeah, they can't imagine not having their kind, sweet, supportive, loving husband in their life. And it's like, you will never know who he really is. You'll never know what he's really up to when you're not looking, when you're not around, when you're not there. And I mean, we know this, like, men go on business trips and they cheat on their wives with prostitutes and strippers all the fucking time. Men go to strip clubs. Men harass their female coworkers. They catcall women on the streets, when their wives aren't around. It's like, I don't understand how or why women continuously choose to date, marry, live with men. Like, it makes no sense. It's frustrating, because we know how awful men are, both to our faces and behind our backs, and yet for some reason there's so many women who are still out here just being like, well, I love him and he's nice and he's kind, and it's like, you don't know that. You don't know that. And the way he treats you to your face is not a marker of the person he is. So I don't know how to wrap this up. It's just exhausting. It's frustrating that so many women are against their own liberation, their own safety, their own best interest. And for what? For what? Also, I want to say that the post by this woman wound up that she confronted him about it, and she was very, like, tame and gentle and asked him if he was doing this stuff, and he admitted to it and told her that it's like an outlet for him to relieve his stress, and he didn't even see the people behind the accounts he's harassing as real people. So the wife, like, said that they need to go to counseling about this. He needs a different outlet for his frustrations and his stress. Like, it's not appropriate to do that to other people. Furthermore, she's pregnant and, like, doesn't want that kind of a man raising her daughter. I think it was a daughter, but it may not have been. But I think it was a daughter. Anyway, she said that, she said they need to go to counseling, or they have to start the separation process because she doesn't want or trust him to raise a child if he speaks to strangers the way he does online. And she goes on to write that her husband told her he would not be going to counseling, and there's nothing wrong with what he's doing, and he deserves to have his me time. And so she said because she wants to protect herself and her child, she's asked him to leave and does not think they'll be reconciling. And it's like, it's insane. This man was content to lose his home, his life, his wife, being in his child's life, because he would rather spend his time being a psychopath to people on the internet and being evil and terrible and bullying and harassing. Like, men will go to those lengths. Men ain't shit.